Well, sometimes in life, grasshoppers, miracles do happen. The Rangers were down 3-1. They came back, won the series. In each of the games that they came back, the elimination games they're in, they were behind in the score and came back and won those. I think that's the first time the Rangers team's ever done that. And on top of that, we have a Christmas miracle today. Again, he shows up again for like the 100th week in a row. The great Mark Puttenvink is here. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you? How was your weekend?
It's good. Good. A lot of hockey. I flew to Pittsburgh on Friday night for the
Saw
game.
that. Yeah, that was awesome.
It was pretty cool. They brought a bunch of fans, and yeah. I mean, obviously I've been in Pittsburgh before, but playoff game, the Rangers could be getting eliminated. The building was rocking. It was a great scene. And the Ranger fans I was with, they all wore their Ranger jerseys too.
Yeah,
they'd had a couple of adult beverages. Man, it was entertaining.
It got pretty heated, I bet.
Oh God, there's a couple times I had to step in.
So, do you remember? Lou? One of the SEALs.
Yeah.
So he lives in Pittsburgh. He's a huge Penguins fan.
Oh, okay.
So he and I have been kind of going back and forth. He wanted me to go out for the Saturday game last week, and I couldn't just do it. But
Royce, hey Royce, what's happening, brother? Royce, say hello.
Oh, good morning, Royce.
Yeah. So he wants you to go to the Saturday game before?
Yeah, and I couldn't go, too busy, but yeah, he's like, so we're kind of giving it to each other. So now,
that's right.
A winner.
Good series. I mean, I was really Kevin Allen and I were talking this morning that I really felt like Shesterkin was going to dominate throughout the series, even though Pittsburgh may have played better. But he finally did. He dominated last night, and I pretty good on the Friday night game too. But and Zibanejad started to score too. Him and Kreider. So that's two big things happened.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, Shesterkin had that one sequence in the first period, I think, where it was just ridiculous.
Totally, yeah.
Like acrobatic and athletic and everything, just and it's crazy.
Did you see the great scene? I haven't heard much about it, but Kreider and Zibanejad were on the bench on Friday night. Zibanejad had just scored 2 goals. He had a breakaway, he hit the post, and he's looking at the iPad. Kreider grabs the iPad, tosses it like he's pissed. And I guess after he said this, and they're great friends, and I love this too. That Kreider did this. Like Zibanejad was doubting himself, and Kreider was having nothing of it, and threw the iPad. That was classic.
Yeah. There's a saying, I kind of like it, and they haven't figured out analytics to determine heart yet.
Yeah, totally.
So you can have all the analytics you want, but sometimes it's just sheer will.
Isn't that true? You think of all the great players that have played. I mean, they all have to have heart, or all the players that were just average players with very little talent that played. And don't you think hockey, even more than other sports, can bring that out? It seems like they,
yeah, because everybody has an opportunity to contribute at any given point, right? Regardless of what line you're on or where you are, or how much ice you're getting, if you're hitting the ice, you're having a chance to do something.
Yeah, will beat skill, right? That's why people ask me all the time what was my favorite hockey player. I didn't have a favorite hockey player growing up. It was Randy White, the linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys. They called him Manster. And his big thing was that they said he just every play he went, and he was a talented athlete and big man and everything. But what separated him from everybody else was the fact that he just showed up every play. So,
well, I think in professional sports, and I would always say this to fighters, I'd say, listen, you guys have the same skill set. You really had great amateur careers, and now it's conditioning and it's determination. Those two factors.
Yeah, totally. So our buddy Mike Jenks here is pretty funny. He has some good comments on what Tom played. There were no iPads. They drew on cave walls.
Yeah.
Mike, very funny. It is an interesting point, though. I think we've touched on this. I never liked reviewing the play from the past while I was on the bench. I wanted to prepare for the next shift. Obviously, I had to be a very coachable player, so I wanted to listen to the coaches. But then there was some of that, coaches got to get over it. But more often than not, that was maybe done in between periods or the next day or whatever. But now it's some of the great players like Crosby himself goes out there and grabs the iPad as soon as he gets to the bench and starts watching plays. So it's something.
Well, I think some guys are really visual, so they like to see the play. I think so. The iPad's really significant addition on the bench for that, so you could see it. But to your point, other people, I kind of feel that you want to make your adjustments and your comments in between periods. That's what coaches are for.
Yeah.
Go in, say a few words, and then walk out. But it was pretty interesting, and it was good to see Pryor take charge like that.
Yeah, totally. And I think he quietly does that. I think he is leader. He just doesn't seem to be that vocal a guy that he. And again, it's unfair to compare anybody to Messier, but Steve doesn't seem that kind of guy that stands up. But I've been around him before at events and everything, and he does have that quiet leadership. I wouldn't be surprised if next year if they decide to have a see of somebody's jersey, it's on his. So
I don't know why it's not now.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't know if I think his inconsistency probably stopped him from being the captain. Whereas this year, he seems to be much more of a consistent goal scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Getting 52 goals and everything. So
yeah, he seems like a different player this year, right?
yeah, I think it's a combination of he and Zibanejad really clicked.
Yeah.
They and I like Gallant's style. I've heard some criticism, especially when they're down 3-1, where he more lets the players figure it out. Like he isn't as much about the structure. And I like that. I think that the game is a simple game. Hockey is hockey. All these, I think a lot of times coaches do all the structure to make it themselves look like they're really coaching, but that's
right. Yeah, keep it simple. I mean, you can overcomplicate it for sure.
Yeah, keep it simple, stupid. That's our theory.
Yeah, the stupid part for me is so easy. It's
that's true.
Yeah.
It is funny though, because the game has changed that way. Where like even when I was an agent, I was starting to go look at players, and I had if a young kid was like too intelligent or whatever, it was almost like I don't know if he's gonna be able to play or not because he just was overthinking the game. But I think it's changed now.
I remember Peter McNabb speaking to when he played up in Boston with Don Cherry, right. And we were at a seminar or something, and I think we were going over going over PK, and he just said Cherry would nothing. He would just say just get it out.
Yeah,
get the puck out of the zone. Look how you do it. Get it out. Yeah,
hockey. So we get Carolina starting on Wednesday. What do you think? How are you like?
I think it's been a great series. I think if that was the first matchup, I would have gave it to Carolina a little bit of an edge. But now the Rangers just got some real juice going.
And I think Shesterkin's back on his game too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's the key. Whoever they play from now on, he plays because the Rangers. He covers up for a lot of mistakes. I don't think the Ranger defense played that well in Game 7. Fox is not on his game.
No, he's not. I thought Keandre Miller was skating really well last night.
Yeah,
Miller.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
he's capable of doing that.
Totally. And I think with Fox, probably this is the first adversity he's had at all in his pro career. Yeah. So, maybe now look at the film for a couple of days or whatever, say, geez, I got to play better, right? Kind of wake him up a little bit. But
yeah, there was one, and again, he's such a great player, but the game that they all quit was the 7-2 game.
Yeah.
And I just saw him stop skating at one point on a play. I guess the guy got around him. And it's like a guy like that, you just got to pull him and say, hey, that's not you. What's going on?
Yeah, and he did that in Game 1. I saw him. He got hit Game 1, and he skated all the way across the other side of the ice to hit the guy back. It was just not him. Right? He was trying to do too much. And that's happened. I've certainly done that myself, where you're feeling really good about your game, and you want to try to step it up a little bit more and do extra, and that kind of gets you in trouble, right? You got to stay within your game. I mean, you want to
I think in the playoffs too, you just can't afford any personal penalties. Absolutely not.
Totally. That is true. You remember the old days? I mean, we remember playing against Philadelphia. Rob Gresham and I spoke about this in the early 80s, and we beat them all the time. And we would talk about in the locker room. We said, listen, we're not going to outfight these guys. So don't even bother. Let them do their stupid stuff. We'll skate away, and we'd win the series all the time. The flip, and even I noticed with the Edmonton Oilers when I got traded out to LA, they were the same way. You try to draw them into stuff. And, I mean, listen, if it was a runaway game, they're going to fight back. But they skated away. The McSorleys and McClellans, the tough guys skated away.
So. I'll tell you, the Saturday was three Game 7s. I mean, it's really can't get any better than that.
Was that pretty cool? Out of the 8 series, 5 of them to Game 7s. That's good. That's
and
good.
And that Carolina Boston game, Tom, that was every check was finished. It was clean but hard. Yeah. I mean, they were really physical, both clubs.
Yeah.
It was great.
Carolina's got it all.
Yeah. And it's an interesting matchup too, because you got D'Angelo Smith and Brady Shea.
Yeah. All ex-Ranger defensemen. I'm sure a lot of Ranger fans are going to be going, okay, why did we trade these guys away? But I mean, look at our defense now, like Smith in particular, and I like him too. He plays hard. He wouldn't make the lineup now. No. Brady Shea is, Keandre Miller is, probably is better, definitely going to be better than.
Well, I think also Shea's the reason Adam Fox is a New York Ranger.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It was interesting about Shea though, which I was a little. So he and Jacob Trouba grew up together, played high school hockey together, and you would have thought that they would have tried to keep those two together, but maybe they saw something that it just didn't work.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think Brady Shea's playing a lot better now than he did here as a Ranger. I mean, I think he started good in that couple of years where he just kind of tailed off.
Too much pressure on him, I think.
Yeah, because he came in and all the expectations, similar to Ryan McDonough. Ryan McDonough's the same way.
Same thing.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So we're getting obviously the playoffs are really getting going here in the National Hockey League for youth hockey. The regular seasons are done now, although they continue to play during the summer. We'll discuss that as well, whether that's good or bad. But now they've got to start to prepare for the next season. So off ice conditioning now, or not just particularly off ice conditioning in general for these young athletes. Where are we at with that? As far as like how old do they need to be to start to do some of the stuff, and how much should they be doing?
Well, I think, in fact, I know you can start to train at any age because, the old theory was that you didn't want to introduce any resistance work because their joints aren't completely developed and they don't have the strength for it. However, I look at it this way. If a 8-year-old child can do 10 push-ups and they weigh 70 pounds, there's no reason we can't start to introduce some weightlifting in that using that type of weight. So in other words, if they can do 10 push-ups and they weigh 70 pounds, there's no reason they can't do 10 high pulls with dumbbells that only weigh 10 or 15 pounds. Right? They're in no danger there. But it is age specific, and there's also skill set, or I should say learning is different at an earlier age in terms of what you teach. There's a progression in skill set in terms of training. So a younger player, you want to keep really simple, maybe some very simple ladder drills to warm them up, and then just a few resistance movements that are total body, like a dumbbell squat or a dumbbell clean or a dumbbell snatch or press. And you always want to incorporate something very athletic into the training. What I mean by that is, let's say it's Monday and it's your first workout of the week. You warm up with some ladder drills, some jumping jacks, anything, get the heart rate up. You do your resistance work. And then at the end, you may want to do some balance work on a Bosu ball, something that's going to incorporate athleticism, and really important that you're going to grab into the synergistic and the stabilizing muscle groups. Because all sport, just about anything I can think of is really unilateral. If you think about skating, it's one leg at a time, right? So you're always going to have either a leg extended or returning stride. And you have to have that ability to be, if you're getting bumped, to keep your edge, right? So that's all core stabilizing and synergistic muscle groups. So it's important that we look at the training in those terms. So we want to warm up properly. We want to do some resistance work, and which fits in the confines. That resistance work will fit in the confines of their age bracket. And then also, again, like I said, something very athletic at the end.
I like the stick hand on the Bosu ball too. I've seen a lot of videos of kids doing that.
Sure,
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I used to have I forget who, one of the Swedish players on the. Well, no, it was Dvorak. I don't know if you remember him, Radek Dvorak. He'd be on the stationary bike, and I started doing it with a lot of guys. I'd have two tennis balls, and we'd play catch as he's on the bike. Then I would tell him to close his eyes. After he got pretty good with his hands, I'd tell him to close his eyes, and I'd give him a verbal cue, and then the ball would come, and he'd have to catch it and throw it back. So you can incorporate movement with something athletic.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So what, way back. So again, obviously things have changed a lot, but when I grew up as a kid in Canada, again, we played box lacrosse. So we take the ice out of a hockey rink, and most kids that played hockey just switched immediately right into lacrosse, played lacrosse until that season was over. Then hockey started right away. So that was our conditioning. We didn't know about conditioning. We were running all the time. And again, for me, the advantage I had was growing up on the farm. I'm baling hay all the time, so I'm getting jacked up and the whole bit. So that kind of replaced my training. So now a lot of the kids, there's pressure amongst the kids and the parents to continue to play hockey throughout the summer so that when you come back to the start of the season, you aren't behind the 8 ball, meaning most of the other kids have been skating. If you don't skate, you're now not in the same conditioning or your sharpness isn't the same way. And it kind of sets you back for the start of the season. First of all, I guess that's accurate. It could set you back, but don't you agree? I mean, the whole argument now is, should kids be playing that one sport 11 to 12 months out of the year?
No. Here's my suggestion. Here's my thought. You want to be an athlete first and then a hockey player secondary to that. Yeah. Because if you look at the European model, they work inverse to our way of doing things. They will not specialize in a sport until they're about 12, 13, 14 years of age. So there's a lot of skill development, but so soccer, they'll play hockey, they'll play, what else do they do in Europe? Track and field. That's why a lot of European players, when they came to to North America, and I would introduce part of the workout, something like an Olympic type of lift. They had a background in that prior to coming to North America is this what they do in Europe. The only players that, like I noticed when I was in Albany, some of the American players who played football, they had a little background in doing some of the Olympic lifts. But Canadian guys, it's just skating. And that's really what's becoming very predominant here in the United States. As you said, kids playing hockey year round. Here's what I would suggest. You still skate, but you're working with a power skating instructor. Mm-hmm. So you're improving your skating maybe 2 or 3 days a week. At the same time, you're playing 3-on-3 basketball. Tremendous conditioning, and it's fun. It's not hockey. Many years ago, I went up to Maine when Paul Correa was playing college hockey there, and that's one of the conditioning drills they did. They played 3-on-3, no dribbling, just get it and throw it and go. It's up and down.
So that way, you're staying on the ice with a coach teaching you to skate better, so you don't lose your edge as far as skating. Everybody knows the plays. If you don't skate, then all of a sudden you get on after 2 or 3 months. It takes you a few weeks maybe to get back to where you were, right? So, okay.
Right. So I would certainly suggest working on your skating. I don't like the playing because, again, maybe if you have some nagging soft tissue injuries, they never get a chance to heal, right? And there's
you kind of lose that edge, right? I mean, kids want to have fun too, right? If you're constantly playing that game, you're constantly getting coached. Like I like so much, like even during the summer or even during the regular season, we just get open ice sometimes and let the guys go. They'll throw the sticks in the middle, throw them off each way. There's your teams, 10-on-10. Go play, have some fun, right? Yeah.
Yeah, many years ago, USA Hockey, I'm talking a pretty long time ago, but they went in Minnesota. They tried it for a year where at the mite level, basically that was it. They just threw them on the ice and let them create their own skill set and then worked with them up from there.
Yeah.
I mean, you just get fundamentals of skating and everything like that. But
yeah. Here's an interesting, it's pretty indicative too. Danny's a loyal listener. I knew a young lady who was involved in gymnastics year round. I told her that I admired her dedication to the sport. And to my surprise, she confessed that she hated gymnastics. Yeah. And that's the danger too, right? Like it's probably her parents pushing her to do it. And here's probably a girl that was a young person that was very good at it, that could have had, maybe gone to the Olympics or whatever. But if you don't have that passion anymore, it's hard to really.
No, that's the danger. The average age of kids stopping playing organized hockey in the United States is 12.
Is that right?
It's the average age of kids who quit playing hockey, 12 years of age.
I know. You see some of the mothers and fathers, and they love their kids to death. They want the best for them, but they're constantly critiquing. They could be like on a Pee Wee B team someplace, and they're critiquing and pushing them, and the kids just want to have fun. And I just found too that the kids that want to have fun end up maybe being better players because they're more passionate about it, and they want to learn because they want to learn, right? Yeah.
I think it's happening. I know it's happening in all sports. It happens in hockey, soccer, football, not so much because it's a tough game to play year round because of the nature of the game. But soccer programs and lacrosse programs and hockey programs, boxing. I've known kids that 18 years of age have like 200-300 amateur fights.
Oh,
and
really?
if you don't think they're not burned out by that, they're totally shot.
Okay. Now, I must confess something once again, and you have given me advice in the past. So I get caught in this rut, especially when I missed a couple of days of working out because I had to fly to Pittsburgh. But then I get sitting on my couch with the iPad with my head down, and my neck gets stiff. And then, of course, as you have schooled me, we went this before. Again, I was stubborn. I said, I'm going to go to the gym and loosen it up. Made it worse. But then I remembered the great Mark Puttendick told me to ice it. So I've iced it, then it's getting better. So
it will get better. Yeah. Ice for 48 hours, then you introduce a little heat. Yeah. I know.
God. So I'm so stubborn. First of all, I know I shouldn't be sitting there. I can feel my neck get sore. And I know I shouldn't go to the gym, but no, I have to just go to the gym. It's going to fix it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is going to be I'm on a trapeze all week without a net.
Oh,
because Beth left yesterday
that's right. That's right.
So I'm on a trapeze all week without a net. It's going to be dangerous around here.
Yeah, that's right. How we do it. So again, August 6th, correct? I know I keep getting that.
Yeah.
August 6th. We have the swim across the Hudson. So everybody we promote this all the time. Mark plays a huge role in setting it up and training the athletes to make sure that they're fit to swim across. So again, we start at Liberty State Park over in New Jersey, and they end up over at Lower Manhattan. So how is everybody going? Like, is that people getting training for that already? Get tested?
Oh yeah. The testing won't be till next month, but guys have been training already for months on end. I know Bill Brown and Johnny Corbusello, they go to the pool 2 or 3 days a week in the morning. and they get their work in. Steve Brown, scuba, he's down in Virginia. He's very heavily involved in the swimming down there. And so these guys are all training. And even the people that aren't SEALs, we call them patriots, that are going to do the test swim, they're training up, or they should be.
Right.
But so it's there's a lot of buzz around this year, which is good.
Oh, it's a lot. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So again, people know, and we'll promote this all the time. This is a great event. It's to raise money for the GI Go Fund. You can go at gigofund.org. Is that correct?
Yeah, gigofund.org. Correct.
You can donate money. It goes to help veterans, particularly here in the tri-state area, in a lot of different ways. But it's a fantastic event. It's been tough for people to attend because of the pandemic the last couple of years. But this year, if you get a chance, you go to Liberty State Park or to Lower Manhattan and watch the guys. They're fantastic. It's a very patriotic ceremony. And they make it look easy, too, swimming across the Hudson. But the current,
Now, it's a very difficult swim for many factors. The currents are particularly tough on the last stretch of the swim. They encounter something called slag, where you're getting hit from one side and the other with two different currents. So essentially, as you're swimming, you're getting beat up. But it's who they are. I mean, for these guys, it's just a walk in the park.
Okay, I've got a scoop coming in here regarding the Boston Bruins. I will not mention any names where I got this or anything, but a friend of mine has a friend that works for the Boston Bruins, and the scoop is there's a lot of talk that Patrice Bergeron may retire. In fact, if you saw there after the game when they got beat out, he stood on the ice there and hugged everybody as they're coming off the ice. And I didn't see it, but apparently Marchand was very emotional when they talked about Patrice Bergeron potentially retiring. So the scoop is here. Apparently Bergeron has bad blood with Coach Cassidy, the head coach.
Oh,
the story up there, if Cassidy gets fired, Bergeron comes back. If Cassidy stays on, Bergeron retires. See if that's true or not. So interesting.
Yeah, I would say that if there is bad blood, Cassidy will not be on the bench next year.
No kidding, right? I mean, because think about it, a player of that stature. Now, I guess you do have to argue that Bergeron is near the end of his career. If they think that highly of Cassidy, but I mean, he's not Scotty Bowman or something like that. No disrespect.
Right. Yeah. I mean, capable guy, but to your point, it's not Bowman. Yeah.
So if they think, okay,
interesting. Did you hear what about Barry Trotz on the exit day players and so forth? Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear.
Yeah. Exit day. Some guys really carved him.
Oh, is that right? Eh? Oh.
Yeah. And nothing about him personally. It was more about his mindset. I guess he's a very cautious coach in terms of, your assignment and your
right.
Yeah.
See, I also heard it was that he wanted an extension on his contract, and that Lane Lambert, the assistant there, the former player, is kind of like the hot up-and-coming coach. And apparently Detroit really wanted him. He played for Detroit in the past. So the theory was that, okay, if Trotz isn't getting it done, if players don't like him and we're not going to give him a contract done, we can't lose Lane Lambert. So
maybe it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Well, with Trotz, and I know him not that well, but when I was in the agent business, I had Chris Mason as a player or as a goaltender down there. So I got to meet Trotz a few times, speak with him. Total gentleman, right? Fantastic guy. But if you do look at his coaching record, I know he won in Washington, but he was there a long time in Nashville, which you could say, okay, that's a great thing because he had the longevity there. Must have done something right, but he really didn't win anything either. So kind of wondered. But then, he comes to the Islanders, and for 2 years in a row, they go to the conference finals. So we'll see.
He'll end up somewhere. I mean, New Jersey needs a coach. Detroit needs a coach.
Yeah, Winnipeg needs a coach. He's from Manitoba. But that's you don't hear that often of, especially getting out where players are critical of the coach, right? That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I had heard. So,
wow.
It's a different world. I mean, the players in their own franchise now.
They do. And in hockey, it's not as much as maybe in some of the other sports, right? Like in basketball, the players pretty much decide what's going on, when they're going to play, who they're going to trade for, and all that stuff. So, yeah, sports has definitely changed. It's funny, like, I went at the Pittsburgh game, a couple of Pittsburgh fans, other Ranger fans told them who I was. So they started asking questions about how the game's changed and all that. And the one guy was like mad at Pittsburgh because they had a great start on Friday night, but then they stopped hitting and everything. The guy's like, put a shoulder into him. He says, right, Tom? Shouldn't they? Yeah. I said, well, yeah, back when I played, that would have been part of the strategy. But yeah.
Much different game. But it's a quality product. The guys are so talented.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tom? Do you think that overall, if you go like through a whole roster, back 20 years ago or so, or 30 years ago, compared to now in terms of skill sets?
Well, the skill set's unbelievable now. The skill set's way higher than it was. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
The question for me is, I mean, it's almost designed to back then it was more of a design to say, okay, get your top line is really skilled. Your second line obviously is not quite as skilled. Third line's a checking line. Fourth line is really utility players, the fighters, just purely penalty killers, whatever. And really, you went with 4 defense. You had 6, but the 4 played most of the game. So that's really changed now, right? Whether it's more coaches are able to roll 4 lines much more. A lot of coaches, Barry Trotz is one that like to do that, roll the 4 lines. So therefore, the talent level had to be that much higher or closer from the first to the fourth line. Again, the difference is, intimidation and physical play was part of the strategy of hockey back then. I don't think that's the way it is now. And that's not the players' fault. It's not that they're less courageous or whatever. Their players are being drafted for different reasons. Like the way I played, I may not have gotten drafted at all back then because I was that big defense who would bang it off the boards. Now it's more defensemen to get their good defense now is to get the puck out of the zone quicker.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely changed. And, to me, I still think the athletes are fantastic. I think the game's fantastic. It's just totally changed. I mean, look at the equipment. Like people laugh at me because I still use a wooden stick when I'm out there, playing games and stuff. I just can't even, those new sticks. I mean, my hands are bad to start with. Fuck was definitely
years ago, every team, we were aware of guys that could shoot, right? Like, so when you played the Flyers, you had to be aware of Reggie Leach could really rip it. McLeish could really shoot it. Now everybody can just hammer the thing.
And even one-timers. I remember Ray Ruth-Slaney came in my second year in the league, and he's firing one-timers and dead on, just like it was a regular shot. We're all looking at it. I never shot a one-timer before. It's funny to say that now because everybody shoots a one-timer, right?
Yeah.
So here's this guy again. I don't know if we can get rid of him or not. Maybe I can ban him in some way.
You got to shadow ban him like they do with Twitter.
Yeah, maybe I'll call the people at Facebook and report him.
Call Elon Musk and see if you can have a chat with Bill.
No question. That's right too. Yeah. Although Eli's not about censoring. He wants everybody to be able to say what they want to say.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Big Billy's bandwagon there. So, all right. So we got to go through our predictions. We've got Calgary and Edmonton playing. What's your prediction for that series?
I would say Edmonton only because they have Connor McDavid.
Right. Kevin and I were talking about that today. He's really in favor of Calgary because he thinks that just much better team. And I see it too. He's right, but man, unless you find some new way to shut down Connor McDavid and Draisaitl. I mean, they got Kane's playing well too. The question is, do they get good enough goaltending at Edmonton? I mean, that's
goaltending. Yeah.
All right, so you're going Edmonton. I will stick. I'm going to stick with Calgary then, so you and I can argue about that. So, then we got Colorado and St. Louis. What do you got in that?
Colorado.
Yeah, I don't know. See the comments that Sutter made before the playoffs? They asked what his chances were, and he says, it doesn't matter. You're going to have 8 days of hell playing against Colorado, so anybody's got to go through them. So. But that's a little bit of that's a mind game too.
He's awesome, though.
Yeah, definitely. Then Tampa and Florida, good series, battle in Florida.
That's going to be a battle. I think it's a coin toss.
Yeah.
Coin toss. I think Florida may be a little better
offensively,
but they've been there.
Yeah, they got Vasilevsky. That's going to be the question. Can Florida's goaltending hold up? What are they doing? And then obviously we're Ranger fans, so we've got to cheer for the Rangers. But it's going to be
New York Rangers all the way.
Carolina's a good hockey team, so that's going to go 7 games, I think, too. And again, Shesterkin's going to make the difference there.
Yeah, like I really think right now that a couple of the guys are starting, Panarin especially, if he can find his game, and be consistent with it.
Well, yeah, and now what's his name? The centerman there,
Benajad.
That's how I can't remember his name. He's now starting to score too. Kreider's starting to score. They didn't do that early in the series, so yeah, it's going to be.
So I think with those 3 guys, Tom, either Kreider and Panarin have to have a big night, or Panarin and Z have to have a big night, but all 3 can't lay an egg. 2 out of the 3 got to play well.
Definitely, you're right. What's going to happen up in Toronto? I mean, I know they lost to Tampa. Tampa's 2-time defending champ, but Still, the game
What?
7 for 1 goal. Right?
Yeah, John Tavares. Where did he go? Where did he go?
See, and I like him as a character player. I just never have been all fired up about him as like this powerhouse point producing forward, right?
Mm-hmm. I think he's a good guy in the room for sure.
Yes, good guy to have. I'd have him on my team, but I wouldn't have him. I wouldn't be paying him the money. And that's part of the problem. They've eaten up a lot of the cap on like the forwards. So Tavares, Smarter, Austin Matthews.
Yeah. You know what, though? I think Gallant said any one of the 16 teams can win it. So there was really nobody that was really just a walkover.
Right, totally. You know? And you look at the 8 teams remaining, that's even more so. Like you wouldn't, other than maybe Colorado, you know, but they haven't done it yet. They haven't shown that they know how to win it all yet. But I'd say maybe that's the only team that I would say they've got a better shot. But they could all the teams here in the East, they could all win it.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's gonna be fun. It'll be really good.
Well, okay, again, guys, what a thrill. Not only just the show itself, but just the fact that it's like a Christmas miracle. And once again, on Monday morning, we get to be here with the great Mark Puttenvink. Fantastic.
You may want to do a wellness check later on in the week on me, just to make sure I'm okay.
Right, too, yes. Maybe we should do another show to check up.
Just to make sure I'm still ticking.
Like a 10, 15-minute show, just to make sure you're okay. We'll ask you a lot of questions, see if you're all right. Maybe see your eye movement.
See eye movement. See proof of life, actually.
Yes.
Proof of life.
Proof of life. Just prop you up. That's right. If somebody props you up there and
you wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah, that's right. I talk the whole time anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God.
Hold on. On the final note here, he has to get the last word in here, Billy boy. Thank God for
I owe him a bunch of beers, that's for sure.
All right, brother. We'll see you next week.
Have a great one.